Due to the sheer size of the Makara Gate, you could see it from a far distance in Magia, especially from the Empire. Panic swept over Magia the moment that very gate began to open. Knowing well that it wasn't Neron's doing, or anyone on their side for that matter, put the entire Empire on high alert. Those stationed in the forest the Glivolu called home took action as well, hoping for Claudius to give them direction as soon as possible. Emperor Claudius was one of the few not to panic, and this could have been for many reasons. He was the one everyone would turn to in this time of need, and he has been training for this moment ever since he became emperor. On top of that, he had to remain strong for his people now more than ever. So even if he was a bit rattled by the gate's opening, he could never show it, or the tiny sliver of hope they had at winning this war would be gone in an instant. The other reason why Claudius might not have been fazed by the gate opening as much as everyone else is because in the grand scheme of things, he stood the best chance of defeating Sybil. He was the least likely to be hurt by her assault due to his magical abilities and indestructible body. However, the people of Magia chose Claudius for a reason, and this was probably the least likely scenario. Claudius wanted to save his people with as little casualties as possible, yet there was no way for him to know the damage that had already been done at the Makara Gate. Many Magians and Glivolu were already dead. The Glivolu leader, Neron, and Neron's strongest warrior, the snake-like assassin Luna, were already defeated. A soldier in Claudius's army rushed into the room. "Emperor, Neron has fallen. The Glivolu and Magians at the Makara Gate have been defeated. We have seen Sybil walking toward the Empire at a distance by herself. Tiberius awaits your orders as the army prepares to intercept her." Claudius simply nodded. The only other one in the room with them was the large crocodile god, Cero. "Tell Tiberius to hold his ground. Let's hear what Sybil has to say. If it seems like she does not want to talk, then make sure our army shows her the might of Magia." The soldier nodded before leaving. Cero raised his head, stretching it back and forth as if he was aware he may need to leave Claudius's villa. "Should you not be out there with them?" "I have thought long and hard about almost every possibility when it finally came to face Sybil. I never expected her to just walk into Magia, seemingly alone. There has to be more to this attack." Cero nodded. "Then you mean to be the last line of defense?" Claudius couldn't tell if Cero, who had been his most trusted advisor and ally during his rule, was judging his decision or agreeing with it. "We need to make sure it's just Sybil and she isn't planning any tricks. For as long as I have had to think of the possibilities, she has had double that time to think of how she can defeat us. Given who? No. What she is? She can do a lot more thinking than we can in a shorter amount of time. We must be prepared for anything." The sudden plop of the fairy Egeria hitting the floor behind them turned their attention. Sybil was somehow inside the villa, despite the reports of her outside. "How did you get here so fast? What happened to the others?" Claudius readied himself for a fight. Meanwhile, Cero detached himself from the villa and dropped out into a large body of water beneath it. "They are also fighting me." Sybil could not help but look behind Claudius at the large opening left by the crocodile god. "In your most dire moment, the very last false god abandons you." Claudius laughed. "They are false gods to you now? Those who gave you your power? How quickly we forget." Sybil walked forward and put her foot on Egeria's head. "Are you all not just bugs beneath my boot?" As she pressed down, Egeria cried out in pain, but Claudius acted quickly. He rushed over with incredible speed, grabbing Sybil by the face and slamming her into a wall. He crushed her head in his hand with ease, as robot parts and short-circuiting noises accompanied the quick dispatching of the cyborg goddess. A decoy, he thought, but sudden clapping interrupted Claudius's thoughts as not just one Sybil, but multiple copies of Sybil entered from the shadows of rooms connected to this part of the villa. "So my army fights a copy of you. Neron fell to a copy of you. And now I stand in a room full of you. Is the real you even in Magia, or are you truly a coward?" One of the Sibyls in front of him tilted their heads slightly before speaking. "Do you think the history books will care if I was a coward or not? Or will they just care that Mecha wiped out Magia with ease, that the battle wasn't even close, and that the great cyborg goddess won with little to no resilience from Magia's pathetic emperor? Claudius was about to answer, but a swooping noise interrupted them. From the opening where Sero stayed came another copy of Sybil. This one was drenched in blood from head to toe. This was the first moment Claudius finally felt concern and worry as he rushed to one of the windows of the villa. Beneath it was the large body of water, now red with Sero's blood. "No!" the Emperor screamed. But the new blood-soaked Sybil continued where the other left off. History is determined by those left to record it, and I am the only one holding the pen.